Get your glass, baby, because today, cheers, we're gonna start living.
My beauty, my style, self-growth, my way.
I am not the only one. I am not the only one who has been guilty of suffering, okay? We are suffering and suffocating ourselves during the waiting period. So what I mean by the waiting period is you've embarked on a journey. Me, I've embarked on a journey of entrepreneurship. I want to do YouTube. I wanted to become this big influencer. I wanted to build my own personal brand. A lot of us are on some kind of personal journey in life, whether that be you starting a business, whether you're going to school, whether you're trying to, up your career and move to that next level of life. Whatever it is, we are embarking on a journey to do something that is going to change our lives, right? Here's the thing. When you start that journey, a lot of us say that we're just waiting and we're not putting a time limit on it, but we low-key be putting a time limit on that thing. Let's just call it what it is. I'm real. I'm going to be real with you guys, and I'm going to tell you the honest to God truth. I am guilty of that. I have, prior to, past tense, whatever you want to call it. I have been guilty of that. You gotta remember, we're not on our time. We're on God's timing. And those two times is a totally different thing. But we also have to realize too that sometimes God could be preparing us for something much greater than what we thought or what we originally asked for. The overall conversation today is I want to give you a couple of things that I have just jotted down, just some notes and some thoughts that I had for myself on how we can make the waiting period better. Because let's be honest, the waiting period can be a little rough. We're human. If we see somebody that has, really flourished and taken off, I have had to learn not to be envious of where somebody else is in life because that wasn't my journey. That was something that I have to work on. I still work on that every single day, reminding myself that when I get on Instagram and TikTok and all these things, my timing is coming. I don't know if you guys caught that viral post. I think her name is Femi. I'll have to link her down below, but she kind of gave her backstory. She was 40 when she got married. She was like 45 when she started YouTube. She was 48 when she had her first child naturally, okay? Do y'all hear me? At 48 years old, she had a child. At 50, she had her very first beauty collaboration. So I read that, and then there was this quote that stood out that says, "What is delayed is not denied." And so when we apply that thought process to the waiting period, we remember that, it doesn't matter how long it takes. If you're doing something with passion, that's the biggest thing, is when you're doing it with passion behind it, you don't mind taking those extra steps, those extra times of investment, those extra years, possibly if it comes down to that. You don't mind waiting in there and hanging in there because that is what you're passionate about. That's what you inspire to do. And I gave that quote as an example to say the waiting period can be difficult, but we're choosing to make it difficult. So like I said, I want to go over a couple of things that we can do to make the waiting period better and start living, because like I said, for me, I was suffocating myself, y'all, like getting on Instagram and getting sucked into F-bomb social media. That shit is real. We get sucked in. We get, off of our game because we're constantly looking at what everybody else has going on. So I had to train myself to be like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. If I get on my social media, I want to just be like, you know what? I'm so glad that so-and-so is flourishing. Oh, they're giving me inspiration. Let me save that. Let me like it. Let me comment. We have to change our thought process when we're approaching the situation. That way we don't find ourselves in that, well, when is my time coming and when is it gonna be my moment? We gotta get ourselves out of that kind of thought process. First things first, I wanna give you an acronym that I quickly wrote down the other day about remembering to wait. And y'all know, I gotta get my glasses because y'all know I wrote it down. Y'all, let me see. Let me see. Y'all, I don't even wear glasses. Let me stop playing with y'all because that's actually a collaboration I gotta do. W. Worrying will not make what you want come any faster. Do y'all understand? Waiting, but worrying is not going to make what you want come any faster. And I made another note that says the how or the when doesn't matter. All that matters is you know that it's fact. So whatever it is that you're wanting in your life, any kind of change, any kind of career move, whatever it is that you're asking for, it doesn't matter how it's going to happen, and it doesn't matter when it's going to happen. You have to know and internalize it as fact that it's going to happen. A, are you actually prepared? Are you actually prepared for what it is that you're asking for? Because a lot of us, and I say this a lot, if you have been here on my channel with me, then you know I say this a lot. Are we actually asking for what it is that we truly want, or are we asking at a surface value level? Because there is a difference when you know exactly what it is that you want and how you want your life to change versus just being like, oh, well, this would look nice and I might want this to happen. No, if we're asking for something and we're speaking all these affirmations about bringing it into our life and praying about it and all that, you better know dang on well what it is that you're asking for. Because if you don't know what you're asking for, you're wasting your time. Intensify your appreciation towards patience. And I is what we're really going to focus on today with the tips that I want to give you guys. But like I said before, maybe God is building you and creating you to be stronger for something else. You might have asked for a little bitty thing, but what God wants to do in your life might be 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times bigger than what you asked for. So maybe your waiting period is actually preparing you for something greater. T is throw away those feelings of comparison. And I put a little side note that says comparing how someone else's journey is going and how yours is not could be detrimental to your progression in life. When we're comparing our lives to somebody else, it is going to make us feel like that we're not doing something at the time that society tells us to do things. Like, just because I might not have bought a house by 30 doesn't mean that I'm not exactly in the timing that God says I'm supposed to be. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like, so we have to throw that away. But I want to start getting into the tips on how we can make the waiting period better. First things first, you have to fall in love with your journey. And I know that it's so cliche to say. I know that a lot of people say that, but I'm telling y'all, you have to fall in love with what it is that you're doing. Really embrace every single moment that you experience. Now I wake up every single day and I'm like, what's going to happen today? I'm excited about it. I'm excited to learn or do differently than I might have done from the day prior to. Actually become invested in the every single step of the journey. It's like the old saying goes, you have to have a test first before you have a testimony. So once you get down the line and you've got your big old house and your car and you've traveled the world and you've built up this successful brand, people are gonna wanna know how you got there, right? That's the biggest part of a journey, is sharing how you got to where you are. When we put so much focus on the end result, we will bypass a lot of what is going on in the right now. Those are the little details that you might skip over, but those could be the very little details that are actually worth remembering. You know what I'm saying? Secondly, why don't we put more focus on the things that we could be changing or the things that we could be perfecting during that time? Start breaking down your Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So right now, obviously we're in Q2. Instead of looking at how many followers you gained, how about we look at the analytics? How about we dive deeper into what it is that we're doing? Look at your content that you might have done, and I'm speaking to content creators right now. Look at how your Q1 content was. Now look at how your Q2 is going. How many times did you post then versus what you're posting now? How much engagement did you have based on a certain style of content than what you have now? So stop looking at the subscriber count and look at actually performing better. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I had to wake up one day and be like, that was some shitty content. It wasn't engaging enough. It wasn't providing value. And honestly, until somebody gets to that stage in life or that stage in their content creation or whatever, whenever they get to that stage where they can just put something out and everybody watches it, until then, you've got to provide some kind of entertainment or some kind of value. And my content was lacking both. Just because it's pretty doesn't mean that somebody's going to attach to it. So I started making more value-based content. I need to provide value so people can see what I'm about. Once people can see what you're about, then they're gonna be like, oh, I want to follow so-and-so because they got X, Y, and Z going on, and I can see what they're about. You've got to become your biggest critic. I am my biggest critic, and I don't mind critiquing myself and telling myself, okay, you might have done that and thought it was good at that time, but here is you 2-3 weeks later reviewing that same piece of content and it wasn't good. Like, you have to be real with yourself if you want to seek change and like really grow and flourish, especially like I said, if you are a content creator, which actually kind of piggybacks, whatever, y'all know what I'm trying to say. My next tip was saying fall in love with quality. I know that a lot of people say, oh, you should post reels, I don't know, 3-4 times a week. Some people say post reels every day. What somebody else's method is may not work for you. Whatever it is that you can produce with quality, make that your number. For me, I know that I can push out 2 quality YouTube videos a week. I still work full time. I still have a household to maintain. I have 3 kids who got very busy. I can't talk. They got very, oh my gosh. They have very busy schedules. I know that I can produce YouTube videos at a rate of 2 videos per week, and they're going to be quality. Sometimes I keep it at 1. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like last week, I did 1 video, and that was because I needed a break. And you have to realize when you need a break, you have to be okay with telling yourself, okay, you're still just as consistent and you're still working towards your goals, but you can take a break. Your overall health and wellness is everything. So never push yourself outside of what you know that you can do or perform. If you know that you need a break, don't push yourself. Lastly is perfecting your craft. So whatever it is that you're doing, going back to that list of what it is that you want, what are you working towards? Stop looking at the waiting period and getting sucked into it so much so that you're losing sight of actually perfecting what it is that you're trying to do in order to change your life. And I got sucked into the numbers and sucked into, well, nobody's watching my content and nobody's following me and blah, blah, blah. I was paying more attention to that than actually producing that quality work that I wanted to put out. Take a step back and reevaluate, like, what could you be doing in order to better your circumstances? I am going to reference content creation because that's what I do. How can I make that better in the process of me while I'm in my waiting period? And constantly scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, I got sidetracked from sending out brand pitches. I literally probably went a solid month and a half and I did not send 1 pitch email. Now, how am I supposed to be a content creator and get paid for it if I'm not putting in the work to actually get to the people who are going to pay me? It don't make sense. Make it make sense, because it didn't make sense. I was spending too much time worrying about what was not happening for me, that I wasn't doing all of the steps that I needed to do in order to become the best overall creator that I possibly could be. So I started looking at my pitch email. My pitch email needed to be revamped. I started strategizing and saying, okay, I'm going to spend an hour a day or send out 10 pitch emails or DMs a day. Like, I have to set myself a minimum and just start from there. So that was my way of, basically honing in on my craft, perfecting my craft to, in the long run, make myself better. The waiting period is your waiting period. It doesn't matter whether that be 5 days, 6 months, a year, 5 years. Everybody's journey is going to look different. Everybody's waiting period is going to look different. But the main thing that we have to remember is to start living. Start living during your waiting period. Don't get suffocated by the process. Don't get suffocated and stressed out and all of that. Like, I'm telling y'all from experience, don't let it happen. Just focus on creating whatever it is that you're trying to create. Make it beautiful, review yourself, invest in honing in on that craft and making sure that you are producing whatever best whatever best quality that it is that you can produce. So again, raise your glass. Cheers, baby. Cheers, because we are going to start living during this time period, and we're going to be grateful during this time period as well, because you never know what it is that God is building you actually for versus what it is that you ask for. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Comment down below and tell me how you feel. Tell me how your waiting period is going. If you guys have been here before, then you already know, but if you have not, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below, baby, and also make sure that you are hitting that notification bell as well, so you can see when the videos is going up on the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for rocking with me, and I will catch y'all on the next video. Bye, love.